And as with all things in this video, it's never actually done when I say it's done. I want to talk about a few more things. Sorry, guys. It's important, though. We're going to jump on over to Max here. And your DCC that you use, or direct content creation, that's like the technical term for it. Jesus. This keeps leading stuff. Shit just starts popping up. I want to show you guys some things to talk about. All right, so, gosh, man, Camtasia is just bogging my station down. It is insane. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here, and this is a really good way to illustrate this, is I'm going to make 3 elements. They can be 3 different objects, doesn't really matter. Just having them be elements inside of Max. And so, as you guys know, obviously when I was exporting stuff into Unreal, it would make default materials occasionally, like you'd see them pop up. And all of those are being referenced from is inside of Max here, or inside of whatever file or whatever 3D app you're using. Okay, so let's look at that here. Okay, I'm gonna just export this out. That's like a cool little like stereotypical Canadian accent. Out. Let's see. All right, jump over into here, and let's find the asset. Should be living on the desktop. Just gonna drag it over into here. Okay. When this stuff gets imported, in again, I'm importing in OBJ. It's going to give you the FBX import options. Nothing's wrong. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. We have a couple things that we can do here. If we have like skeletal things like bones, cloth, things that are going to move around and stuff, or destruction, that kind of stuff, which primarily applies to environments, you'd import as a skeletal mesh typically. We can set translation, rotation, and scale. So like if I say I want this to be 5x larger, by default the import size is going to be 5x larger. It's not going to be scaled inside of Unreal. It's going to import it 5 times larger than what it's going to out of the DCC. So that's fine. We can do that for right now. I also have these things. These things are automatically checked, and when it sends it off with an OBJ, they're automatically checked in. So let's go ahead and import all. Okay. You notice that it didn't retain the name of the asset that I typed in it, okay? The name of the asset up here on the material comes from it. It's not coming from this guy. It's not coming from the actual shader. So let me just show you guys that again so you guys can see this. No. Yes. Sure. Okay, I don't know what I did, but whatever, it's all good. I'm gonna delete I'll delete these 2. Delete. Okay, they're gone. Goodbye. Export selected. Let me just double check. Make sure that's on there. Export selected. Done. And same thing, drag and drop. Bring that guy right back in. Import all. See that? Again, it's because it was named up here for that. Now, let's see what happens when we start to do some other things. Because as with all things inside of Unreal, there's 50 ways to do one thing. I like to go through the methodology of applying the shaders inside of Unreal. Now, that is a unique kind of thing, I think, to Unreal in a lot of cases. Well, Unity allows you to do the same thing as well. But Unity, just as Unreal, will create shaders for you based off of import. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make essentially a material sub-object. Right now I'm just assigning materials based off of like just random like actual geometry. We can do this off the face level. Inside of Max I'm doing this off the element level. It's the exact same thing as driving it off of the face level. And I'm just going to name this 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And I'm going to first export this out as an OBJ and let you guys see what that looks like. And I'm going to export it out as an FBX and let you guys see what that looks like. There's always so many things to remember when you're generating this stuff. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure just to delete these materials here just to make sure it doesn't do anything. I'm literally just dragging and dropping this thing back in. I just want you to kind of notice what happens. Okay? It made the single material, okay? And there's no material elements on these spheres, okay? There's nothing, it's literally one asset. That's what the OBJ is doing, okay? Now, I'm going to take the FBX in, and let me just show you guys something. Oop, wrong one. Don't do that. No. I'll shut this down just to save some memory. Cancel. Actually, make sure you shut down Quixel first, because it has a nasty habit of bringing Photoshop back from the dead after you kill it. So, with certain files, like OBJs, depending on how your files are saved out, like if they're saved out as ASCII or if they're saved out as binary, you can read them in Notepad. Okay, and right now you can see the material that gets dumped out of this. It has a material lib right here. That's the object name, and this is the OBJ header, by the way. You can see it up here. And this is all the vertex data for the OBJ. Now let's look at what happens when I take this guy and export it out as an FBX. And I'm going to name this thing the exact same thing. I'm literally just going to save it as sphere.fbx. Export selected. Come over here in the desktop, sphere.fbx. Okay, leaving all the default options as is. Okay. It may be different if you're exporting out of Maya or whatever. So just keep that in mind. The other thing too to note is that the FBX, the OBJ, it out of max messes up the X, Y. I think it's the Y axis. It screws it up. It rotates at 90 degrees, so you got to flip that if you're going to do that. But now watch what happens. Okay. Again, nothing happened, so like different. But let me just look at the object here. Okay, still nothing. Okay, we still have the delete this. We still have on this element here. If I go to select this guy, we still have this material sub object. Okay. Now the reason why that didn't show up is because essentially inside of, well, I'll just show you first. I'll explain why that didn't change. Okay, now with the FBX import, with using a true FBX file, now we have this option that's visible. Import materials and import textures, invert normal maps. What does all that mean? Inside of Max, if I was to assign diffuse, normals, those kind of things, basic things, inside of the shader, it would import them, okay? Or at least the pathing as well. Okay, no smoothing groups, that's fine. It's adorable, it's fine. Now, you see what happened here is it went through and it made new shaders. Okay, and as we can see here, the corresponding shader names 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, makes sense. We look at the sphere here. Now we have several material elements. Okay, so that's kind of one of the big defining differences between the FBX and the OBJ for you guys who are curious. Now there's other things. The FBX can do way freaking more. Let me show you guys this. Open with, and now, okay, so right now this has been exported out as a binary file, so you can't read any of this. This doesn't make any sense. So let's look at this really quick back inside of Max, and I actually haven't tried this out for Unreal, so let's see if this works. Save. Yes. All the way down under here. Change that to ASCII. Okay. There's a bunch of different reasons why you would probably want to change that to an ASCII file other than binary. So we can read this even though it's just an absolute mess. Let me see what it looks like if I open this up and open with, choose other app. I should download Notepad++. Let's just, did I uninstall Visual Studio? I think I did. Let's just find out. I think I might have tried to save some drive space, so just give us a second. You guys will not have to open this up to view this. I'm just showing you guys that, damn it. Oh, Visual Studio. Nice. Close that down. There's a way to actually view. I don't know Visual Studio that well, so I shouldn't be I don't want to show you guys the wrong way to do stuff, so I'm just going to try and open this up in another file format here, so it's a little easier to see. Okay, here you go. This is in WordPad. All right, so obviously the FBX already looks vastly different than the OBJ, okay? Obviously there's a bunch of vertex data that's in this file. You don't need to worry about any of that, okay? Right here, we have your model, you have your geometry, you have your material IDs, okay? So super, super useful. The other reason why you want this as an ASCII, as an ASCII, so if you need to, if there's some issue within the file, you can parse it. Basically, this contains all of the information of where this thing comes from, and even if you notice, it has the actual properties of where this thing is exported out as, okay? So there's a bunch of really good information in here, and that's just one of the benefits of the FBX. The other benefit of an FBX is it's an interchange format, which basically means you can use it between like 6 or 7 different programs and it's fine. An FBX will read in Modo, Max, Maya, Softimage, Blender, you know, whatever you're using. Typically, it'll read. It even reads in ZBrush. Okay, so that's just another way to get the file formats in. I'm going to be using OBJ for most of this stuff. When I need multiple materials, I use FBX. No real reason, just me being stubborn and working away that I typically do. The one thing, just to call this out for you guys who are Max users, I really wish Unreal had multi-sub objects. They kind of do with the material functions and that kind of thing, but obviously the shaders kind of grow pretty quickly. So just a little side note here. And we can obviously see there's our little spheres and they import just fine. Okay. And I know there are, in 4.12, there's a bunch of new features that we're not going to go over, including batching. Like we could literally take these 3 objects and batch them together. We're not going to do that right now. Batching is basically ways to force single draw calls off of multiple objects. But anywho, I digress. So now I believe, unless I think of something in the next 10 minutes, we will jump into doing the normal map stuff. So, all right, guys. Hopefully you learned a little bit about more file formats and fun stuff inside of Unreal.